never taught how to set boundaries. We're not taught expert communication and how to teach people what's okay and what's not okay. When you work on these techniques to improve your communication, you don't just improve your communication with your husband or your children or your partner. You improve your communication with everyone. So the strategies I use is Pibca, so P-I-B-C-A, where P stands for permission. So the first thing you want to do is ask permission to have the conversation. Is now a good time for us to chat? I need to tell you something. When's a good time for us to be able to talk about it? So asking for permission to have the conversation. If you forget to ask for permission and you just start saying, this is how I feel, I would like this, what you're going to see is that person's wall might go up, where they're not open to hearing your opinion or what you have to say because you haven't said it at a good time, or you have never asked for permission and they haven't given you permission for you to be able to say your opinion and talk to them and say what it is that you want. So starting with, first of all, permission. The next bit is I, for I messages. So this is where you explain I, me and my problem, nothing to do with you. And what you're trying to do in the I messages is explain your problem without making it their problem and putting it onto them and blaming them. As soon as you say you, that's like contempt. You're beneath me. You're not as good as me because you're not doing behaviour that I expect. And so as soon as you give a you message, what you're going to get is you're going to get the person trying to defend themselves because they're like, oh, I'm getting attacked. I need to step up and try and defend. And you're going to feel very frustrated that you're trying to say how you feel. And because you've just said you, they're now defending and they're not listening and trying to understand what you've got to say. I'm feeling upset because I would like this to happen. I'm really annoyed because I can see that there's clothes on the ground and I really like to live in a tidy house. I like to be spoken to nicely. I like to be spoken to calmly. So you're setting your boundaries of what's okay and what's not okay with an I, me and my message. When you're first learning how to use I messages, you might find that you accidentally say you a lot. And then the next technique comes in really handy. So that is the B technique, where B stands for behaviour and person separation. So if you accidentally say you say, oh, I'm sorry, you are a beautiful person, and the behaviour of putting clothes on the ground, of speaking angry to me, of whatever the behaviour is that you don't like, that behaviour is not okay with me. I don't like that behaviour. But you, as a person, are a great person. You're distinguishing between the person, the beautiful soul who's been conditioned to behave the way that they are behaving. Everybody is just their conditioning. They learn to behave and use the resources that they use to communicate, in this example. So if you've got someone who is shaming, who is being violent, who is being nasty, and opinionated and horrible in the way that they try and communicate to you, that is because they have been conditioned with those techniques, effective techniques, to try and manipulate someone to try and do something that they want to be doing. It's because generally they use those techniques because they haven't been taught effective communication. They just haven't been taught Pibca. And that's why we're trying to get this information out there. So you're just distinguishing that behaviour that you've learned through your conditioning is not okay with me. It's not how I like to be treated, so you can use that somewhere else with other people who allow that, but that's my boundary, it's not okay. But always, you are a beautiful person who I love unconditionally. So the next part of it is C. This is for choices. So if you find that your I messages haven't been effective and the person isn't behaving in the way that you ask them to behave, then you would use the choices. So where C in Pibca, it stands for choices. If you choose to keep raising your voice at me, then you choose for me to walk away from this conversation. Which do you choose? Well, you set two boundaries that they might be similar, they might be the same thing, but you're setting two boundaries that you are okay with and saying, well, you're in charge here. Which do you choose based on your behaviour that you do next and what you say next? And this is what is okay with me. The final one is A, where A stands for assertive. When you first decide to start trying these techniques and using these techniques, you almost are changing personality, where you've gone from somebody possibly who was more passive on one end of the scale, where you don't generally say your opinion or what's okay and what's not okay, because you just want to make sure everybody else is alright. You kind of fear confrontation. On the other end of the scale, we have aggressive people. So they might use violence and be extremely direct with you and opinionated without permission. They will generally beg for forgiveness later. They're just trying to get something done. Whereas what we're talking about is being assertive, where you're using techniques or effective techniques that are polite, that are when you have poise, and you're just like, this is my boundaries, this is what's okay, this is what's not okay, this is how I get treated, because I am worthy of love, I am enough, and I deserve to be treated the way that I'd like to be treated. When you are assertive, you teach people that you can be trusted, because you're someone that's going to tell them what's okay and what's not okay. You're going to tell them that when you behave like this, I'm not going to hang out with you, that's not cool with me. When you behave like this, I enjoy your company and I want to see you more often. Changing a personality and having new beliefs about yourself can take a long time to build, so you might need many references and many times that you've practiced. And people, when you're changing personality, can find that difficult, because they're like, but you used to be someone who never used to say how you felt, and all of a sudden you're trying to tell me what's okay and what's not okay. So just be aware of that. Be aware that you're changing personality type, going to be more assertive, and that might be difficult for people who are already in your environment to understand and be okay with. I hope these strategies have been helpful for you, because it's something that I definitely wish I had learned as a child.